Hey everyone, hope you've had a great New Year start and happy holidays all. Before starting, I am looking for new video ideas to create more personal content for you, so if you have any suggestions, please leave them in the comments down below. In the meantime, today I have another video in collaboration with Wingfox.com, who is again the sponsor of this video. So let's start with the trailer.
Hello guys, my name is Hristo Chukov and I'm a concept artist and art director for the entertainment industry. I've worked in this field for the last 15 years. I've been lucky to be part of projects for Amazon Prime, Disney, Fox, Universal and Marvel. I've worked for studios like Aaron Sims Creative and Luma Pictures LA. In late years, I've been doing illustrations for Magic the Gathering. In this course, I will teach you my process for creating a keyframe for movies and games. We will start with basic but very important lessons about value, color and composition. We will continue building our scene in 3D in Blender, and last but most importantly, we will go very close into my process of painting in Photoshop. I will share with you all of the project's files as well as my shortcuts and settings for Blender and Photoshop. I will make a separate video for my techniques so you can see them in depth. So thank you for joining me in this journey and I hope you enjoy. Thanks.
And we're back. Well, that was another cool trailer for the course I want to share with you, but first, let me tell you what's happened lately. To be really honest with you, I've been quite busy lately, and I'm pretty sure I'm in a burnout or something. I want to get back to doing more videos, but honestly, I don't have many ideas right now. So again, if you have any ideas or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. And as always, please consider subscribing if you're not already. If you are subscribed, don't forget to turn on notifications and please share the videos because more of them are coming pretty soon, I hope. Anyways, back to the video. As I've said before, Wingfox.com is the sponsor of this video. If you have seen my previous video, I was helping them promote some of their courses, and my friends over at Wingfox approached me recently again and said they wanted me to collaborate with them in another, let's say, review of another course. I guess some of you got interested in what they have to offer after you watch my video. So for that, I gotta say it again. Thank you so much because it really helps a lot with the channel. This time though, they sent me this course to promote with you, and since most of you are interested in Blender and concept art, which is what this channel's content is mostly about, I promise there will be more personal and helpful content, but help me give me some ideas of what you'd like to see next. Anyways, the course, as you know already, is Advanced Environment and Keyframe Design using Blender and Photoshop, and it is by a concept artist and art director. His name is Hristo Chukov. He was born and raised in Bulgaria, Sofia to be more specific, where he started at a small studio doing digital art. His first movie job was on the Wachowskis' Speed Racer, and after that he's had the chance to work on different games like Tropico 3 and Dungeon Hunter, along with some other movie projects. In 2017, he started doing some work for Aaron Sims Creative, where he had the chance to work on Mouse Guard and It Part 2. In 2021, he's had the chance to work at Luma Pictures in LA and has had the chance to work on some illustrations for Magic the Gathering. So as you can see, Christos has tons of experience working on a range of big projects, and having a chance to learn from him is great. With this course, you'll get access to about 8 hours of video divided in 6 chapters. These are an introduction on Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called Elements of Composition, General and Advanced Principles. Chapter 3 is called Blender and Photoshop Setup, followed by what is Chapter 4, Sketching. Chapter 5 is called Building the Scene in Blender, and finally Chapter 6 is all about painting in Photoshop. Before I go into detail on each of these chapters, there are some things to keep in mind. This is completely my opinion, and yours may differ from mine, but it's still something to take into account before pulling the trigger on this one. So first of all, I think the contents of this tutorial are great, whether you're just starting or if you are already a working professional in the industry. You'll definitely find value in this course from Christos' vast experience. So, first of all, I believe this course is more focused on the 2D aspect of the process. So if you're more interested in focusing or learning more about 3D and Blender, maybe this is not the best option for you. Blender is covered very lightly overall, and is shown more as like a tool to get a base mesh to then photo bash and overpaint in Photoshop. To be honest, this is probably the best way to use 3D for concept art, but just be aware it's mostly focused on the whole process, rather than just on the Blender aspect of things. I'd say you'll get the most out of it if you already have some previous Blender knowledge. And another thing to consider is that he uses some paid add-ons, which are essential to following the whole process step by step. I think you can definitely get similar results using only stock tools or free add-ons. However, none of this is shown in the videos, so for me it's not any major issue. But I know there are some people that really like to follow along tutorials step by step, and of course this won't be possible without the already mentioned add-ons. Of course you can buy them, as Christos is very open and clear to which resources he uses and where he gets them from. Just keep in mind this will be an extra cost for you. One last thing to take into account is that Christos has a very calm and slow pace when talking and explaining. So some of you might be kind of desperate and get bored very easily by this, or find it quite boring at times, but I can assure you that the content of every lesson is very valuable and well worth to know, whatever your level may be. Now, let's go deeper into every chapter of this course. First of all, you'll learn more about Christos and his background on the intro chapter. He will talk about himself, the projects he's worked on, and basically his whole art journey. All of this while showing his art in the background, which is great. And I think this is quite of a long video, but I find it very interesting to know more about other artists' journey and see the evolution of their work throughout the years. So I would definitely not skip this one. And then the actual course begins. He will start covering some art fundamentals as color theory and composition with thumbnail sketches, which is something you don't usually find in this type of tutorials. Many of them just go straight to the point of making a piece without going deeper in the knowledge of what makes a good image work. It's assumed you already know most of this. But if you are just getting into Blender or concept art, you probably don't know about all of this yet. Even as an experienced professional, it's good to be reminded of this from time to time. He will cover the process and purpose of an image and go straight into talking about composition. He will teach you how to use elements and fundamentals like value, contrast, and shape and color to make your compositions stronger. And of course, he goes into how each of these elements work. Another cool thing from this course is that Christos shows how he studies film stills to learn and improve your compositions. But not only that, since he also goes into some master studies to show these core principles and how to use them. In the next lesson, you'll go deep into some color theory to use in your own images, and you will also learn about some design principles to use in your compositions. In my opinion, this is one of the most useful in the whole course. Although this is indeed something you might find somewhere else, it's nice to have everything all together in the same course you are already watching. Next comes the Blender chapter, and as I mentioned earlier, it is probably one of the shortest of the whole course. Here you will learn the basics of how Christos uses Blender in his workflow and how he uses 3D for his concept artwork. In this chapter, you'll learn of the add-ons he uses within Blender and also how he has set his Photoshop and his hotkeys as well. You'll learn of some interesting and useful resources too that he shares with everyone. Chapter 4 is all about sketching. You will learn how to start using what you've learned in the previous chapters to design your images and make them stronger. Starting from black and white simple thumbnails to adding colors and refining a bit more to get a general sense of the concept and then start building it in 3D. In chapter 5, you will start assembling the scene from the thumbnails in Blender to get a 3D base that you can then overpaint in Photoshop. Here you'll see many of the techniques Christos uses, and you will even do some cloth simulations. Finally, chapter 6 is all about Photoshop overpainting, and as I said before, probably this is the longest of all chapters and probably the main focus of this course. In any case, it is nice to watch and get an idea of how you can too start using 3D in your 2D workflow and see the techniques and the painting process in Photoshop you can follow to take the image to the final quality. And well, that is it for this week's video. I hope you liked it, and you'll find an affiliate link again in the description if you are interested in getting the course for yourself. This way you can help the channel going and learn something in the way. Please go check it out, consider subscribing, and definitely more videos are coming as soon as possible. So turn on the notifications to stay in the loop. Don't forget to leave your video ideas and suggestions in the comments. I will make sure to read them all. And thanks again to wingfox.com. See you next time.